Hi, I'm In Denial, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the best weapons in the support class. Within the support class you have several different types of gun. You have My Mighty Girth, MMGs for short, the Little Man's Gooch, LMGs for short, and then you have the Slap Hose or Tickle Guys Under Nipples, or SHOTGUN for short. To get the best use out of the MMGs and the LMGs, I think you need to play a little more defensively. That doesn't mean go all old man Boy Scout who has a soundproof basement because he likes playing loud music. What? That was just some heavy sax, not a little boy screaming, and locks on the door in case his musical equipment tries to escape. I can't remember where this was going. Oh yeah, and no, that doesn't mean you have to camp, because if you do, you're that old man with the music studio basement. With the shotguns, I think it's quite the opposite. Aggression is the name of the game, so, yeah, get angry. I've chosen, in my opinion, the two best guns from each subclass within the support class, so without further ado, let's get on with it. First up is My Mighty Girth and the Little Man's Gooch, which sounds like a great plotline for a porno. If anyone wants to buy the rights from me, leave a comment below because the YouTube comment section is a great place to do business. Now, before we get right into the dirty details, looking at the stats on sim.gg, the damage and drop off for all of the LMGs and MMGs are exactly the same at 25.1 points of damage up to 10 meters, falling to 16.7 at 50 meters. This excludes the Show, or however the fuck it's pronounced, and the Madsen MG. So for these classes, I'll mainly be looking at the capacity, recoil, rate of fire, reload times, and arguably the most important metric of all, how much of an erection each gives you whilst using it.
Hello there.
So, the LMGs. Let's start with the Lewis gun. The Lewis gun has a default capacity of 47 with the ability to increase this to 97 when the extended mag specialization is equipped. When it comes to recoil, the Lewis gun feels shakier than Michael J. Fox in a washing machine. I'm a terrible human, but actually it isn't that bad when we look at the stats. There's an upward recoil of 0.61 degrees, which is actually on the lower side of all the LMGs and can be reduced further to 0.488 degrees with the recoil buffer specialization. The horizontal recoil variant sits at 0.25 degrees, which is on the higher side of all the LMGs. This can be reduced to 0.2 degrees with the ported barrel, but then I wouldn't be able to have the extended mags, and I'd rather go to a slumber party with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Crosby as a teenage girl than not have extended mags. The Lewis is capable of 539 rounds per minute and is around the middle of the road when compared to the rate of fire of the other LMGs. Reloads take 3.55 seconds when you have at least one bullet still loaded, and 4.55 seconds when you're completely out. For reference, that's the same time it takes Melissa McCarthy and husband Ben Falcone to write their incredibly funny and immensely enjoyable films.
Did I do that?
What a steaming pile of actual horseshit. And finally, the erectionometer. I can't say that it makes me rock hard, so I'll go with a pretty respectable 6 out of 10. So why is it in my top 2 LMGs? The main winner for me is a huge capacity that allows you to set up and hold positions, paired with the fact you don't need to bipod it up, and for me, it's a great all-rounder.
Spicy.
Next is the Bren Gun. The Bren has a max capacity of 30 rounds with no option for extended mags, which sucks, because if it did, I think it would be a particularly great gun, but you know, historical accuracy or some shit. Alright, I don't know why. The recoil overall is a little less foxy, with an upwards punch of 0.66 degrees, which can be reduced to 0.528 degrees with the recoil buffer specialization. The horizontal recoil varies by 0.15 degrees in each direction and can also be reduced to 0.1 degrees with the ported barrel specialization. But I'd rather go for the quick reload as I get through bullets like I get through condoms, am I right fellas? Don't want my hand getting pregnant now, do I? The rate of fire is 514 rounds per minute, which is actually in a 3-way joint tie for second last place, which makes it sound really shit, but I'll try and tell you why it isn't in a minute. Reloads take 2.5 seconds with at least one bullet still loaded, and 3.7 seconds when completely out. This reduces to 2.125 and 3.145 seconds respectively with the addition of the quick reload specialization. For reference, 2.5 seconds is exactly how long it takes to lose your job for having sex with a client. I never liked working at the morgue anyway. Speaking of sex, erection time. Again, not overly stiff, so it's going to have to be the same as the Lewis at 6 out of 10. The larger capacity and the quickest reload is what brings the Bren into my top LMGs. Add to this the very manageable recoil, and like the Lewis, the Bren is a great all-rounder that can work at most distances. Now, onto my mighty girth, which apparently isn't an appropriate hobby to list on your resume or CV.
You're hired.
First up is the Mighty Girth 42, or the MG42 for those short on time. By default it has a capacity of 50 rounds, which is a good start, but with the addition of the extended belt, an item sold by many a plus size retailer, the max capacity increases to a huge 250 rounds. The MG42 has the joint highest vertical recoil at 1.75 degrees, so is extremely foxy, reducing to 1.4 degrees with the addition of the recoil buffer. The horizontal recoil is equally shit and is the standalone worst of all the MMGs at 0.35 degree variance. This can't be reduced. So far, I've made the MG42 sound even shittier than the names celebrities give their children. I mean, come on, Jason Lee's kid, Pilot Inspector, and Shannon Sossaman's kid, Audio Science. But I digress. The MG42 shall no longer be the Moxie crime fighter. Yes, that's another one. Of the MMGs, as the rate of fire is a whopping 981 rounds per minute, allowing you to mow down enemies extremely quickly, making it quite competitive at short ranges too. Reloads take 4.15 seconds with at least one round still loaded, and 5.8 seconds when empty. This reduces to 3.5275 and 4.93 seconds respectively with the quick reload specialization. Now, the MG42 does get a pretty decent thumbs up from the not very big man downstairs, so it's a solid 8 out of 10 on the erectionometer. The huge capacity, with equally massive rate of fire, is what makes the MG42 a standout MMG for me. Now's time for the very girthy one. Or the VGO if you are a
Cunt.
As I am a cunt, I'll call it the VGO from now on. The VGO has a default capacity of 60 rounds, which is pretty decent, increasing to 100 rounds with the extended mags. The recoil is the second worst of all of the MMGs at 1.625 degrees, reducing to 1.3 degrees with the recoil buffer. The horizontal recoil is also the second worst at 0.3 degrees variance, reducing to 0.25 degrees with the ported barrel. Again, like the MG42, it feels like I'm telling you why the very girthy one is about as good at being an MMG as James Corden is at being funny. So basically not very good. But bear with me, because like the MG42, the VGO is saved by its impressive rate of fire at 830 rounds per minute, making it very well suited to both close and mid-range engagements. The reload is a little quicker than the MG42 at 3.2 seconds when there's at least one round still loaded, and 4.3 seconds when completely empty. This reduces to 2.72 and 3.655 seconds respectively, with the quick reload specialization equipped. Now, for the erectionometer, it's going to be a not too stiff, not too floppy erection. A Goldilocks erection, if you will. If Goldilocks was a transgender. Come to think of it, I'm onto another great porno plotline here. I can see it now. Goldie Cox and the Three Bears Son. It's a working title. If you've got anything better, let me know in the comments. So yeah, 7 out of 10. It's the decent capacity and the huge fire rate which makes for the best MMGs in my opinion, so the very girthy one is up there with the Mighty Girth 42. Next up is the Slap Hose or Tickle Guys Under Nipples. It also spells shotgun as an acronym, so I'll go with that for now. So, shotguns. First is the Model 37. The Model 37 has a damage of 11.2 per pellet up to 8 meters, the highest of all the shotguns, and with a pellet count of 32, there is a max potential damage of 358.4. So if you could make each and every pellet hit, that's an astounding 10.752 children, when assuming a child would take 33.33 recurring points of damage to, kill. With child number 11, you'd do some serious damage and they'd likely end up a vegetable, so no need to dirty your boots with a stomp. I mean, unless you really want to, of course. The Model 37 has the tightest spread of all the shotguns at 2.25 degrees, reducing to 1.5 degrees with the internal choke specialization, which sounds like a very fancy maneuver involving the use of a sausage-shaped instrument to cut off the oxygen supply from one's lungs. Whatever, I'm down. It has a capacity of 5 shells increasing to 7 with the extended mag specialization, and has a fire rate of 149 shells per minute increasing to 179 with the trigger job specialization, but that would mean foregoing the extended mags, something I'd rather not do. In fact, I'd rather be an Oompa Loompa with a tangerine for a dick than not have extended mags. As for my trouser habits, it certainly gets me well on my way to becoming a stiff boy, so a good 8.5 out of 10 it is. The high damage, the tight spread, and the pretty decent rate of fire make this shotgun one of the best weapons in the support class for me. I actually ranked it 3rd out of 5 in my best shotgun video, but it's actually really good and is probably more joint second. And finally, the M1897. At 7.2 points of damage per pellet up to 10 meters and a 32 pellet shell, there's potential for a max damage of 230.4. So in child terms, that's 6 and 1 with irrevocable brain damage. Makes for a great paperweight though, so yeah, every cloud and all that good stuff. If my teachers could hear me now. It was all, Dan, you're never going to amount to anything. Dan, stop kicking balls at the 6-year-olds. I don't know why I did that, but it seemed fun at the time. And Dan, this is a religious studies presentation. I don't think a step-by-step demonstration of how to masturbate is an appropriate subject matter. Well, look at me now, Mrs. fists herself at home because her husband doesn't find her attractive anymore. I'm making brain-dead children jokes, and at the time of writing this, operate a 25 subscriber YouTube channel. So who's the real winner here? Anyway, the M1897 is in a 3-way tie for 2nd place, and also 2nd worst place when it comes to spread at 2.4. It cannot be reduced unless you go for slugs, which, no thanks. It holds 5 shells as standard, and there's no option to equip extended mags, which makes me more sad than a 1940s housewife when she can smell another woman's perfume on her husband's fist. The M1897 has a fire rate of 99, the slowest of all of the shotguns. Why do all of my recommendations sound like shit? Increasing to 119 shells per minute with the trigger job specialization equipped. And for the final erection of the video, it's going to have to be another 8.5 out of 10. Definitely pretty firm. Well, plenty firm enough to hang a towel on, which makes it look like the towel is levitating. It's a great magic trick to show at schools. And there you have it, the best weapons in the support class. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this.